Good morning, Year 10. So we're still going on this topic. Now remember that we have done a fair bit of this earlier this year, and this again is something that we're repeating, so you shouldn't have any problems with it, but we'll go through it again. So we're looking at the parabola, which will look like this. So it's going to have an x squared term in it. It's going to have possibly have an x term and possibly have a number. The A, B and C, remember, are standing for numbers. They may or may not be there. The one that's definitely going to be there is the x squared, because this is going to graph to be a parabola in the end. Okay, so to be getting to the point where you can sketch your parabola, you need to go through these steps. So we're finding the y-intercept, we're finding the x-intercepts, and we're finding the vertex. These things are called the features of the graph. A parabola has certain things that must be marked on their graph for you to get full marks on it, and they're called its features, and they are the y-intercept, the x-intercepts, and the vertex. Okay, so you know already by now that when you find the y-intercept, you make x equals 0. When you find the x-intercepts, you make y equals 0, and just solve them and find out what the answers are. When you get to the vertex, there are two methods that you can do. If you have x-intercepts, even if you have one x-intercept, I want you to do it this way because it's much quicker. So if you've got x-intercepts, you can average those x-intercepts to find an x value, and that will be the x value for your vertex. And then you're going to find the y coordinate of the vertex that goes with that. So this will get you the x coordinate of the vertex, and then you'll find the y coordinate of the vertex by substituting back into the original equation they give you. If you don't have any x-intercepts, which is possible, you will be using the axis of symmetry formula, which is x equals minus b over 2a. Don't just write minus b over 2a, because the equation of the axis of symmetry has to have an equal sign, and it will start with x equals. Okay, once you use that, because the axis of symmetry passes through the vertex always, that will actually be your x coordinate of your vertex. And then you'll find the y coordinate of the vertex the same way by substituting back up into this. Okay, so going through some examples. This question is actually giving you some direction on what they want you to do, which is basically going through the steps we're going to do anyway if we're graphing. So here's our first question. We firstly look at it and see that we do have a parabola equation here because we have an x squared. It's going to be concave up because in front of the x squared is a positive number. So we know that it's going to look like that when it's finished. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is what they've told us to do first, which is find the y-intercept when we make x equals 0. So we're going to put the zeros in for x, and we end up with y equals 3. That's finished. Part 2, we're looking for the x-intercepts, so we're going to make y equals 0 in this given equation to you. So we'll put the 0 in for y, and we're going to solve this quadratic equation now, the way you normally do, with the product and sum. And if you keep going, you will end up with those factors. Make each factor equal to 0 and solve them, and you ended up with 2 x-intercepts. Don't forget to write these headings down, because when you get to the end you want to know, what did I just do? Oh, that's right, there's the heading. I was finding x-intercepts. It's clearer for you to see when you go to put it all together in a graph at the end. So don't leave the headings out. Okay, part 3. We're looking for the vertex like they asked for. We do have x-intercepts here, so we are going to average those x-intercepts. So I'm going to take minus 1 and minus 3. Now, you should all know that the middle of minus 1 and minus 3 is minus 2. So if you know that, you can just write x equals minus 2 straight down. If you don't, if it's two things you can't find the middle of that easily, then you just collect your two numbers or add them together and divide by 2, because that's how we do an average. Add your two numbers together and divide by the two numbers. Okay, once you've got that, you put your original equation down, and we're going to put that x coordinate in for x and find the y coordinate. So when we've got the two coordinates for the vertex, see that's why we have our heading here, That's our x coordinate for our vertex, and this is our y coordinate for our vertex. vertex. You're going to put those together in a point, and minus 2, minus 1 is your vertex. So now we're going to mark all of that on our graph. So we have our y-intercept of 3, and I've just marked it on. We have our x-intercepts of minus 1 and minus 3, and I've marked those two on. And we have a vertex of minus 2, minus 1, so I've marked that point. So we're just going to join them all together. Turn at the vertex. And just do a little quick double check. We should have got a concave up parabola. We did. So it's looking pretty good. If you try to join the points and it just doesn't fit together right, you've made a mistake somewhere, just go back and check you're working. Okay, now in B, this is the equation of what we're sketching, y equals 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. Again, if we look at the x squared, we know we're going to get a parabola because that's the highest power of x in it. We've got a positive x squared, so it's going to be concave up. Alright, so we have a y-intercept to find first. Copy down your equation and put 0 in for x, and that will work out to be y equals minus 9. As you get better at that, if you get to the point where you go, I know what I'm doing here, you can leave those two lines out if you like. If you can see that the y-intercept is y equals minus 9, you can just write that down. Because really, what the y-intercept is just the number at the end. Okay, just the constant number that has no x attached to it. That will be your y-intercept. Okay, the x-intercepts, we're making y equals 0. No shortcuts on this. Just put the 0 in for y and we're solving this. So our product, multiply the 2, is minus 18. Our sum is minus 3. If we write our factor pairs down for 18, it ends up being 3 and 6 that will eventually get that 3 there. The highest one gets the negative and they have to be different signs. So 6 will get the negative. They've got to be different, so that's a plus. So we're just going to don't get yourself into a mess here. Alright, we want to, don't just go, oh, alright, I'll just start factorising, because what will happen is you'll get down there 2x plus 3, x minus 3, and you'll think you're finished. Okay? It's really important. You'll see I've left nothing in there. I've just written nothing. I kept all my factorising for this quadratic expression on the right over this side. That's so that I wouldn't forget to put the 0 equals here. So I'm going to drag that down now. Keep going with my factorising, and then I'll get down to there. And now, because I can see we've got the 0 there, we are then going to make each bracket equal to 0 and solve them. Now, I'm running out of room down here, but when you get to the end of this one, you've got x equals minus 3 over 2. Because we're putting this on a graph, I want that written as a mixed numeral. So, just put minus 3 over 2 in your calculator, press equals, then use the SD key or the shift SD to change it to a mixed numeral, and it will be minus 1.5. Sorry, I'm running out of room there. That should be underneath here. Okay, so we've got x equals minus 1.5 and x equals 3 are our x-intercepts. I'll continue with the rest of that question and some more examples on the next video.